Hey, Tori, thanks so much for meeting with me on Zoom today. I know you're finishing up your last class at San Jose State, and I wanted to interview you to give an opportunity for students to hear about you and your path to help them along their path.
Yeah, thanks for asking me to do this. I appreciate the opportunity. I love Cabrillo and I love giving back in any way that I can. So,
Thanks, Tori. That's great. Okay, so let's start out with where you grew up. And if you grew up in Santa Cruz, what high school did you go to? And then you could follow that up with why did you choose to come to Cabrillo and what did that offer you?
yeah, so I did grow up in Santa Cruz. I'm one of the lucky ones. I went to SoCal High School and I graduated in 2014, which sounds like a long time ago. I took a gap year out of high school and essentially chose Cabrillo because I don't know, like I said, I took a gap year. I wanted to kind of explore my options. It allowed me to maintain the current job that I had and continue maintaining the family obligations that I had in town. So staying local was really beneficial at the time. I didn't know how much I was going to get out of being a Cabrillo student, but I knew that I didn't want to jump into some degree that I didn't even feel confident that I wanted. And I did exactly that. I started at Cabrillo kind of part-time, taking general education classes and just exploring different subjects that I thought might interest me. And it was really eye-opening. I mean, I started at Cabrillo thinking I was going to get an English degree, and we are far from that. So, I don't know. Overall, I'm really, really glad that I took the route of going to Cabrillo and I had a lot of really positive experiences there, and I think it benefited me a lot.
Okay. So you talk about that you were started out as an English major, and that's what happens a lot at Cabrillo. You just try it out. So maybe you could talk about your progression from English major to others, and then what you ended up with and why.
Yeah. So I really, like I said, I did not know what I was doing at Cabrillo. I kind of ended up just starting with GE classes, and I knew that I needed to take, in addition to other classes, at least one transferable math class. So I took statistics my first semester at Cabrillo, and that satisfied my transferable math class. I always really liked math growing up. It was kind of, I had a little bit of an aptitude towards it, but I didn't think that I wanted to pursue STEM necessarily. But I felt weird after that semester not being in a math class. So I signed up for Math 5A, which is the first of the calculus series, and I was taking that along with some other classes, and it quickly became my favorite class by far. I really liked it, and so I thought, okay, let me look into maybe continuing with at least the calculus series, and I started looking into like the physics classes and thinking maybe STEM is for me. And I just kind of went along taking the classes that I liked, and I started building kind of the groundwork foundation for an engineering degree without even necessarily meaning to. Um, I remember the first time, or maybe one of the first times that you and I met, I was talking to you about how I was looking into majoring in applied math. And I think you said something along the lines of, if you like math, and I think I'd taken engineering 5 at that point, and you said you've taken engineering 5, why not apply it further and do engineering? And I said, no, Joanne,
I
I don't want
remember.
to do that. I don't want to be an engineer. I don't even know like what engineers do. But um, I did think about it more, and it obviously there's a lot of job opportunities within engineering, which is appealing. Financial stability is something that I would really like in my lifetime at some point, and that, offers that a little more easily than a math degree. And I did really like physics and applying the STEM classes that I was taking. So I kind of got led down the line of like, okay, I really like math and physics. I will take the chemistry that I need. I will finish all the other stuff, and I started kind of fine-tuning the engineering field that would best fit me. And I kind of decided that aerospace was likely going to be the most math and physics heavy engineering degree that I could get,
Hmm.
um, based on just like what I knew at the
Hmm.
time.
Yeah.
And, who doesn't like airplanes? Airplanes are fun.
Mhm.
So I thought, okay, this seems like a good way to do it. And I, started pursuing more aerospace specific, I don't know, interests and problems as I worked through my engineering degree. And I have now gotten through almost my entire aerospace degree, and I have gone even further, and I honestly really like the more math heavy topics within aerospace, like controls and dynamics, which
Mm.
is honestly it's kind of leading me to have the perfect opportunities to be what I've always said I wanted to be, like the token math person on an engineering team. So
Yep.
I I know it was a little bit of an atypical path to get into engineering, but I'm happy with like where it's landed me so far.
Yeah.
Um, and I was involved at Cabrillo with a lot of things like that kind of led me to developing my interest within trying to figure out what I wanted to do in engineering too. So that helped
Yeah.
me a lot.
Could you talk about those things that you were involved in at Cabrillo?
Yeah, so along with the kind of math trend, I was the president of the math club, which was really fun. Um, I was pretty heavily involved with that for a few years, and um, I did as much stuff with the WISE Club, Women in Science and Engineering, because it's a great group of people. Um,
And you have the shirt on.
I have my WISE shirt on. Uh,
Yay.
my treasured item of clothing. And I was a Mesa member at Cabrillo, because the STEM Center was one of my second homes for a little while, as it is for a lot of people. And Mesa offers a lot of opportunities to certain students. And I also, like within STEM, I worked as a TA for a couple physics classes. I worked as a tutor in the Math Learning Center. I, for a little bit, actually ran a podcast
Oh, wow.
about women in math. I don't know if you remember
I
it.
remember that now.
Yeah.
Wasn't that with Mike Matera?
No, it was with Damian Adams.
Ah, Damien. Okay, Damien. Yes,
Yeah, he was a math faculty. He was my 5A instructor,
I
and
remember.
we were talking one day as a group of some students and him about how as you get through the math series at Cabrillo, there's just less and less women or like female presenting people in the classes. And it's kind of heartbreaking when you're one of them and you're looking around and there's just not a lot of you around you in the classroom. And so we created this podcast to kind of promote the, I don't know, presence of women in math. And we did historical biographies of women who studied math in the past. And we did conversations and interviews with students and some faculty members, all within the women in math community at
Yeah.
Korea, which was really fun. And then outside of STEM, in addition to all that, I was on the collegiate swim team at Cabrillo, and I was in the concert band as well. So
Oh, I didn't know you were in those two. That's
yeah.
awesome. Yes, you definitely were well-rounded. And I wanted to mention to you that we're now up to 27.8% of our engineering students are women.
Wow.
So the number is going up. We've been doing a lot of opportunities for women in engineering with donations we've gotten from um, some donors that want to support women in engineering. And then the WISE Club is still really active. So it's been great. It's been
That
really
makes
great.
me so happy.
Yeah.
I still make it a habit, first day of my class this semester, I counted all of the female presenting people in my class, and I think there's 6 of us out of about 45 in
Oh,
my
wow.
class, which is kind of standard. So, I don't know. I just want to see more of us. I think
Yeah. Oh,
really
definitely.
we benefit the engineering world a lot, I think.
Yes. Yeah, engineering's creative and we need diversity.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
in our surveying class, there's more women in civil engineering and biomedical engineering. And in our surveying classes, more than 50% are women
Wow.
this semester. So it's kind of cool
Yeah, I think it definitely varies,
on
major to
major.
major within engineering. My
Yeah.
my partner Jake is an electrical engineer, and I think that's the lowest percentage of women in engineering.
Yeah.
And aerospace is, I've found it not to be super high either, but
Yeah.
it's, it's
Yeah.
as long as you're having fun doing it, I think people should pursue it.
Yeah. And Jake is a Cabrillo alum too.
He is, yeah. We
Yeah.
met at Cabrillo
Yeah.
actually,
It's cool.
in Physics 11. So
Yeah. Nice.
he's working as an electrical engineer now after graduating from San Jose State, and
When
he's
did he graduate? Was it last June?
no,
Or
he graduated almost 3 years ago, and he's been
okay.
working full time at ASML.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. We'll have to interview him as well.
Yeah, uh, we'll see if
Okay,
we
well,
can
let's
wrangle.
what was that?
We'll see if we can wrangle him into it.
Okay. All right, I'll leave that to you. Okay, so let's now transition to the university experience.
Okay.
So want to talk about that?
Sure, yeah. So I transferred to San Jose State. I, I found a lot of value in my classes since I've been there. I just talked a lot about my involvement while I was a student at Cabrillo, and I've honestly been a lot less involved since transferring for, I don't know, a lot of reasons, but I have tried to go to some of the AIAA
Mm,
events that have been put on. That's kind of the most prominent aerospace club is our chapter of that at San Jose State. But I think the most of my involvement at San Jose State has been like doing kind of outside of class projects with different professors in classes that I enjoyed the most.
okay, great.
But I I don't know. I don't want to discourage people from the experience of transferring because it's so different for everybody. I just think I felt so well supported at Cabrillo, and it's a lot harder to find that support once you transfer.
Yeah,
But I've had overall a positive experience, and I haven't had any issues. I've maybe even had benefits of being a transfer student at San Jose State. I've had professors make note of my strong foundational skills that
mm,
I got from Cabrillo, and I think it has made my time there a lot smoother and my classes more, you know, I think I've gotten more out of them because of
yeah,
that, which is cool. So,
great. You mentioned some projects you were working with faculty on. Could you talk about those?
yeah, like I said, I kind of really gravitated towards some of the more math heavy subjects within aerospace, and I started taking more dynamics and controls classes, which I really enjoyed. They're very detail-oriented subjects, which fits to my skills really well, rather than kind of more big picture
Mm,
work. I've, kind of started just leaning into it a little bit more. I've done some really cool projects in my classes, and I've also helped some professors that I've had in past semesters rework projects for their classes. Specifically, I took two undergraduate controls analysis classes and one graduate level class in that subject, and I was able to design an automatic control system completely from scratch for two different aircrafts, first at an undergraduate level and then at
wow,
a graduate level,
nice.
which was really cool. It really helped me understand, the inner workings of aircraft controls, and I, enjoyed doing it. And I also got to really learn a lot more about MATLAB, and we use Simulink, which is kind of a part of MATLAB that isn't taught in the MATLAB class at Cabrillo, or it wasn't when I took it.
Yeah.
but it's a really, really beneficial, powerful tool, and I've been liking it. And then another cool project I did, like I said, I took a lot of dynamics classes. I took the two that were required for my degree, and then I took one more that was specifically a computational dynamics class. And in that class, it was a project-based class, so I did 5 projects throughout the semester.
Oh, wow. Great.
And one that I really liked was analyzing a binary star orbit system.
Wow.
And the thing that I got the most out of that was, like I said, I was really building my skills in MATLAB that, oh my gosh, if you're not feeling confident in MATLAB when you leave Cabrillo, that's totally okay because I was not, and I learned a lot. Just in my time just needing it and needing to learn it. But if you've taken Engineering 30, that's the MATLAB class, right, at Cabrillo?
Yes, correct.
At the end of the semester, you get introduced to a function called ODE 45, which is one of the many ordinary differential equations integrators that is embedded within MATLAB. But during this class, this dynamics class, I was able to actually build my own fourth order Runge-Kutta integrator in MATLAB.
Wow.
So I was able to build basically what ODE 45 and other integrators do. Um, so now I can continue using the integrators that are within MATLAB, but I can understand how they're working, which I love. I love knowing the why things are doing what they're doing. I hate just using tools and not knowing what the heck is going on. So those are cool. And then you wanted me to bring up my senior project a little bit, which
Yeah. Yes, please.
was at San Jose State in the aerospace degree. You choose to go either the aircraft design or spacecraft design route. I chose aircraft design, which was a 2 semester long class, and I formed a group with 6 other students, so it was a
Wow.
big group, but
Yeah.
I found it necessary because it was a big project. We designed and built an aircraft over the course of about a year or 9 or 10 months, and it started in the early design phase. We moved on to, um, flight testing, everything, and at the end of the spring, we went to a little airport in Livermore and were able to fly our aircrafts, and it was really cool. Our aircraft was an electric vertical takeoff and landing fixed wing aircraft that was designed to deliver like emergency medical supplies to areas of Southeast Asia. So it could, take off and
Wow.
land without a runway and land in smaller areas and deliver what was needed.
Wow.
And it was a big project, and I think I learned a lot of skills throughout the way, not only in like the designing and the computational part of designing an aircraft, but also we just had to completely figure out how to build this thing. I spent so many hours sanding like foam wings that were going on this plane, and we were just really figuring it out as we went. But it was really fun, and it was really rewarding to see something at the end that was uh I don't know, a full aircraft. I pull out my pictures of it all the time to
Oh,
string,
cool.
which maybe
Wow.
they're not interested in seeing, but
Yeah, could you pull them up on the screen
maybe,
on
yeah.
our video? See if you could pull out up a few.
Yeah. Let me,
That'd be great.
maybe I should
And
have.
did the 7 of you work with one faculty advisor, or were there more than one?
There was, um, we had one professor for the class, and I think there were 5 groups of 7 students in the class.
Okay.
And so, okay, here.
You got something? Okay, good.
Yeah, I got something. Let me,
You crazy nutter.
oh
No,
gosh, it's making noise. Sorry.
That's okay.
no, it's just ideal.
Yeah, if it's a video, that's cool too.
It's not flying, but it's just let me see if I can share my screen.
Okay. And it's on the bottom. Yeah, you got it.
Yeah. So this is what
Oh, wow. How
my aircraft,
long, what's the wingspan?
it was about 6 feet.
Wow.
So this
What
is
about you
kind of,
crazy nutter? No, you're not.
this is what it looked like.
Cool. Wow. Really neat.
Yeah, it was fun. I am proud of that. It's definitely a highlight point on my resume.
Yeah. No, I think it's great that you have these three big projects, to write on your resume. And I know you were in Engineering 10 last year, or was it the year before? I think last year. But yeah, all these projects will go on your resume. It's awesome.
Yeah, I think I'm hoping that it will make me a valuable applicant to jobs once I start doing it because I have like technical skills.
Yeah, hands-on skills. And you have the machining skills and the other classes you took at Cabrillo as well.
Yeah, and also in addition to the project itself in this senior project class, we had I think 8 really hefty reports throughout the year.
Oh, wow. Okay,
Um,
great.
and they were given harsh feedback, so I really developed a lot of technical writing skills in that class.
Excellent. That's great.
So,
Good. All right, so that and next two um, questions are really for, the students for Field 2. So, what do you think this engineering degree, how is it going to impact your life? Are you glad you are getting the engineering degree? Let's say that's the first question.
yeah, I'm glad. I think obviously a lot of stress and tears have come with this degree, and it's been a long time coming for me. But overall, I'm really happy that I decided to pursue it, even if I'm still figuring out exactly what I'm going to do with the degree. Um, I think the biggest, maybe not the biggest, but one of the bigger things that I got out of it so far is that we as engineers focus a lot on what we're learning in the classroom and through experience, but I think what's really valuable is that as engineering students, we learn how to learn more
Mm,
things because there's always so much learning to do outside of what you are taught in a classroom. And I feel so well equipped to figure out anything that I need to figure out with
yeah,
kind of the base knowledge that I have. And you mentioned in your email just how it's affected my quality of life. And
yes, that's the next, yeah.
overall, I'm just a happier person when I know more things and I
Mm,
have more information.
oh, wow. Yeah,
And this education that I've been getting has allowed me to know more things and gather more information about the world around me. And it's allowed me to have interesting and meaningful conversations that I'm able to understand with so many different people about so many different topics.
mm, wow.
And I'm really grateful that I've been, able to have the opportunity to learn all the things that I have and gain all the skills that I've gained.
Yeah, wow. Thanks, Tori.
Yeah.
And I think taking your time going through the degree also enabled you to learn lots,
Yeah. I think,
not rushing through the program.
yeah. And I wouldn't,
Great.
I wouldn't always necessarily recommend, you know, starting and stopping the educational path as much as I
Mm,
was kind of forced to in some ways. But you're right, it has given me the opportunity to really slow down and gather all the information in a really digestible way. Um, and I've had a lot of time while studying to kind of, I don't know, just like grow my self-confidence within engineering and within
yeah,
the world as someone who has this knowledge in engineering.
yeah.
Um, I feel like you know, a lot of people talk about the very tangible opportunities that we're able to have access to as engineers, but I feel like it's really noteworthy that I, you know, gain that confidence and a voice that I feel like is important to be heard. And now, more so than when I started my education, I feel deserving of the
Mm,
opportunities that I'm going to have access to.
yeah, it's amazing. Thank you, Tori, for sharing that. Um, and you're alluding to this a little bit. What suggestions, this would be the last question, what suggestions do you have for engineering students that are starting out now? When you look back and think, oh, okay, what would I do differently? What are some suggestions you have for students?
I think it can be really helpful to have the knowledge of it's not important to fit a specific mold of what you think an engineer is or what you see engineers being. I, like I said, I kind of had an atypical path into engineering. I have uncommon interests within my field of engineering, and it's really hard to see what you think is kind of the gold standard for what an engineer is with their abilities, personality traits, things like that, and think, oh my gosh, that's not me. I can't be successful. Um, you know, I'm more soft-spoken, I'm more reserved, I'm sensitive, and for so long I thought those things were going to hinder my ability to be an effective engineer. But I can still solve hard problems and I can communicate to people how to solve hard problems. And that's, I think, what matters more than how I present myself. And I think there's a place for you in engineering the way that you are
Mm,
if you want that place. And especially, you know, just speaking to the other women in engineering, there aren't as many role models for us who, you know, at least for me, that I could see myself in as easily. And I was worried about that, you know, but you don't need to see someone doing things the way you do them. It doesn't mean you're doing things wrong. And there's a lot of ways to do it. I think, I don't know. You know, I mean,
yeah,
just for example, you, Joanne, and I we're different people. We don't
yeah,
approach things the same way, and that scared me a little bit when I saw you being such a successful and, you know, inspirational engineer, woman in engineering that, you know, I do look up to in so many ways, but I also was initially worried that, you know, we don't approach things the same way, so how am I ever going to be
yeah,
valuable in this field?
yeah.
But
You are amazing, Tori. This is such a thoughtful and meaningful interview, and hearing about how you found your place in it and you value, so I mean, it's really amazing. Thank you
thank
for
you.
doing this video.
Yeah, thank you. I really
Yeah,
appreciate it. And I appreciate all the guidance that you've given me over the years.
yeah, yeah, you're welcome.
I might have fought you on some things along the way,
That's
but
good. I could grow too. All right, I'm gonna stop the recording and
okay.
okay.